ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, leave it in the ring.
This is WBA Super Middleweight Champion Andre Ward, and you're with Leave It in the Ring Radio.
Hola, soy Sergio Maravilla Martínez, esto es LIITR.com.
Hola, soy Saúl El Canelo Álvarez y estás en Live the Ring Radio.
Bradley, and you're LIITR.com.
Este que es Soto Caraz, el renuente. Escúcheme por Live in the Ring Radio.
Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Victor Ortiz at LiveItInTheRing.com. So take care, guys.
How you doing? You're with Abner Mares, and you're right here with Leave It in the Ring Radio.
Well, welcome back, everybody. And I don't know. Should I say Happy Valentine's to all you boxing heads out there? I don't know if that's appropriate or not. What do you think, Amilcar? Should we say Happy Valentine's to everybody? It was a Valentine's massacre yesterday on Saturday night on DAZN and ESPN. Really quick. We're just doing about a 30 to 45 minute here show on Leave the Ring. It's quick takes. I normally do this on my own. And Amilcar is on vacation. And I hit him up and said, hey, you want to come on really quick? I got 3 topics I want to talk about. Manny Pacquiao versus Crawford, the $40 million bid that Pacquiao's asking for. The other thing is Richard Commey looked phenomenal, man, knocking out Jackson Marinez, which you had picked. That was your prediction that you thought he was going to knock him out. And then you got JoJo Diaz not making weight, losing his IBF title on the scale, and he ended up getting a draw with Rakhimov. Yeah, Rakhimov, whatever you want to, however you want to call it, Rakhimov. Yeah. So everybody, we'll let everybody get a chance to get on in over here on Leaving the Ring, and then we'll start talking some boxing with everybody. Let me say what's up to the folks that are in the chat room. Andre, ¿qué pasó? How you doing? Chris, how you doing, brother? Jesus, ¿qué onda? Let me see. A-Rod, ¿qué pasó, man? Thanks for everybody coming on. I hope you guys are going to have a great Sunday. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you guys went and bought your guys' roses and chocolates and whatnot that you needed to needed to do to stay on the good side of the old lady. But anyways, man, I want to go up first with Richard Commey here, Milcar. He looked great. He came out immediately pressuring Jackson. He didn't let him breathe. I thought exactly what he should do, which is jump all over Jackson. Don't allow Jackson to get in this rhythm. Don't allow him to box. The one thing that was kind of alarming on that, I think it was the first or second round, was when Jackson stuck out his tongue and he was like, I don't know, he was just way too cocky for me. And I was just like, dude, are you taking this guy too lightly? I mean, this is not Rolly Romero. This is Richard Commey.
Yeah. And honestly, his greatest asset is being a boxer, Dave. And unfortunately for him, he's not a high-level enough boxer for the style that he was trying to implement to work against the guy who can pressure you, but who can also land extremely straight, extremely powerful punches from long range, which is what Richard Commey could do. And he showed us that on Saturday with that vicious right hand.
Boy, did he show us that, man, on Saturday. I mean, Marinez couldn't recover. He didn't know how to do, he didn't, for a guy that's a boxer, a guy that's a mover, you would think that he would have known and learned how to hold when a power puncher gets too close, gets in that punching range. He should have just grappled him up, and he didn't do any of that. He let that machismo take over, and he was trying to actually fight his way out of a corner or out of danger for Richard Commey. I just thought that was the wrong plan.
Absolutely, but I think Andre Ward made a very good point Saturday, David. And unfortunately for me, I couldn't watch the fight Saturday night. If you can believe this, they weren't even showing it on television in Mexico. Can you believe that?
Jesus. Well, it's ESPN Plus, that's why.
Well, I mean, even so,
I know.
I tried to log in with the Plus app, and obviously it doesn't work in Mexico. And
that sucks.
On any of the ESPN channels over here that they have. I thought it was crazy. Anyways, what I was saying was that I think Andre Ward made a very good point, which was that he just wasn't strong enough to implement that kind of grab and clinch style. I think Richard Commey is just a very strong guy who wouldn't let him get away with that.
No, I completely agree with you. You know, he got all over him like a cheap suit, and, Marinez just didn't have the right answers. I mean, look, his trainer, Robert Garcia, was giving him the right instructions. And I've always said this, a trainer can see things. It's up to you as the fighter to implicate it and to perform it when it's time to do it on the fly in the ring. On Monday, we're definitely going to get more in depth, Blue Nose and Sanchez. There's just a lot of stuff to say about what I saw with Blue Nose, Adam Lopez. But going off with Commey now, I thought Commey did exactly what he needed to do. He listened to his trainer. He went out there, got the job done. I thought that, Marinez was going to give him a lot more problems than I was suggesting on last Monday's show. But as you saw, he came out energetic, ready to go. The KO loss that he got from Teofimo Lopez obviously didn't affect him. And I've said this before. When you get KO'd just like that, it's kind of easier to bounce back than taking a beating the way Deontay Wilder has. And it was evident on Saturday night, right?
Yes, it was. David, quick thing with the sound. Andrea Rodriguez has said that I sound a little bit low. So I know you said I was sounding high in the beginning. So maybe if you could adjust that a little bit.
How about now? They should sound better.
Hopefully that fixes the issue. I can't do much from my end. I'm just on my cell phone, as you guys could probably tell.
He's on vacation mode right now, guys. Don't ask too much from him. I asked him to come on. I'm jealous. You're out there with good weather. I'm over here with cold weather right now.
Well, there you go. There's certain things a trainer can see, but Garcia obviously has a set mindset and a set style that he tries to implement with his fighters. And the funny thing is, it's kind of an odd pairing to me because Marinez doesn't really fight that style.
No, he doesn't fight like anybody from the Garcia Academy gym at all.
Like he doesn't fight like Bam Bam Rios. He doesn't fight like Ramirez or anyone who can apply pressure, high level pressure, volume punching pressure, and who can really bang on the inside. I mean, Robert Garcia, all of Robert Garcia's fighters can do that. Even Mikey Garcia, if he has to, can implement that style. So it's kind of an interesting pairing. It obviously didn't work because I think Robert Garcia was expecting him to do things, like you said, David, that I don't know if he's capable of doing or that kind of match his style.
Which is really surprising because, as you mentioned, Robert Garcia's gym, I mean, the most guys in his stable are pressure fighters. So you would think that Marinez would be used to that in sparring, getting guys, pressuring them, pushing them back. So he should have been a lot more prepared for this fight. But you know what? You can't take nothing away from Richard Commey. He did exactly what he's supposed to do, which was, you know what? He wasn't hesitant with his right hand. It was almost like if you didn't even know or had seen Teofimo Lopez blasting him out of there, you would have never thought that this guy was coming off of a KO loss. Great win. But let me ask you this, okay? Now that he's got this win over a guy that I honestly thought was going to give him a lot more problems, and as we saw Saturday, as you said, I've said, it was a lot easier done than we were suggested in the beginning. Two guys right now out there that I would love to see Richard Commey get next. One is, Rolly Romero, who obviously got a win that a lot of us don't believe he should have got over Marinez, and Felix Verdejo, who just got off of he was in a sensational fight. He was at the short end of the stick getting KO'd by Nakatani. But those are two names right there that I think is really exciting for Richard Commey. What do you think?
I really like the Rolly fight because it kind of makes sense too, especially considering that he had a very questionable decision victory against the guy that Commey just sparked out.
Right.
And he also holds a title, so I like that fight a lot.
I think so too. You know, Rolly is a guy that's going to stand there. He's going to trade. Doesn't have the greatest footwork. He always looks for one big shot. I mean, if we're looking for explosion and we're looking for, for this lightweight division to keep going as we've been seeing it, which is great fights being put together, this is a great fight, and also tells us where Rolly's really at. If Rolly wants to redeem himself, which I thought he was going to give Jackson Marinez a rematch, and he didn't. He skipped over that, and he went with Sparrow. This is a great way of erasing a lot of the criticism and actually the thoughts of his progression that I criticized, saying I didn't see it. If he's able to get in there with a seasoned guy like Richard Commey and do what Teofimo did, or get close to it, or just beating him convincingly, then you know what? Then I think I think he's earned the right to be in the talks of the top five, facing the top five guys in the division right now. Richard Commey is a great step up, in my opinion, for Rolly Romero.
Well, you could call it a great step up. I'll just call it a great stepping stone for Commey.
Really?
I see him brutally stopping Rolly.
Oh, I thought you were meaning that he's a stepping stone for Rolly. I was like, what?
No. I'm saying Rolly is going to be rolling around, getting KO'd. And yeah, it's a stepping stone in terms of him getting that title belt, even though it's kind of a secondary title. Getting a title belt and then putting his name back in the mix in terms of the champions at 135.
I like what some of the guys are saying, and you know what? I think you're absolutely right. Romero, not fight Commey. TNT not going to let that happen, Outlaw says here in the chat room. Andre says, I agree with those names, but what about Tank and Mendy? I love those names. I just don't think Tank's going to want to fight Commey. I think with Tank, if anything, is going to continue, I don't know, making guys move up to his weight division. I mean, I don't even know where Tank's head's at exactly. It's the same thing with the TNT promotions. What exactly are they doing with their fighters? I mean, that's a completely other different show. But these are the thoughts that I'm thinking Richard Commey, Team Richard Commey should be looking out first. I mean, look, Verdejo just came off of a great fight. He didn't get the upper hand in that fight against Nakatani. I don't think he's going to go for a rematch with that. If anything, there's the doubts of Verdejo being able to recover from that brutal KO. Could he do it? Just like the doubts were about Richard Commey. Here's the thing. Here's another thing is that Marinez didn't pose a real threat, so we don't really know if Comey's complete. Well, I can't say we don't know he's completely back, but I think there's still going to be some doubt there that still needs to be erased.
I got a name for you.
Go ahead.
I got a name for you. What about Robert Easter?
He fought him once. I don't know if we would want to revisit. Robert Easter was really tough, and Robert Easter, I believe, is fighting next week, if I remember that right.
Yeah. If Robert Easter comes through that, maybe Francisco Vargas would be a good fight. That would be exciting.
Jesus is mentioning, how about Commey versus Isaac Pitbull? Oh, yeah, I would love to see that fight. I think any fight that Richard Commey's talking about or even thinking about, honestly, think about it. Any of the names that you suggest, it's going to be really fun because there's going to be a lot of fireworks for Richard Commey. And it's all deserved. It's all deserved for him.
If Loma doesn't take a fight with Nakatani, I'd like to see him in there with Loma.
That would be a great fight. That would really...
a great fight.
You'd be all over Loma.
Yeah, he'd be all over Loma, and Loma didn't quite know what to do with Teofimo at the beginning.
Right.
And didn't want to test his chin and his body against Teo's power, so he kind of tried to wait him out, hoping that Teo's legs would go in the later rounds and his cardio would fail him, but it never happened. So
right.
Commey is a supremely conditioned athlete. That strategy is not going to work against him either. And he hits hard. He probably hits as hard as Teo.
I was going to say, or probably even, you know what, or the size of his, the way he uses his weight, which he couldn't do with Teo. You got to admit. I mean, he tried to do it in the first round, but Teo's a pretty big kid, And here's another thing is that Teo, just like Commey, they fire off at a distance that's where they generate their power from. They need that space to get in that right hand. And this was two guys, Teofimo Lopez and Richard Commey, trying to fight for the time and that space to land that big shot.
It was the USSR and the USA throwing nuclear missiles at one another, and it was just a matter of which one landed.
Absolutely.
And Tails landed first.
Yeah, and landed first. I mean, he blasted first. But going back with Richard Commey and Lomachenko.
Look at the line, but Dave, if you look at the line of sight, Richard Commey was going to land too.
No, definitely, and that's what we were waiting for. To find out if what happens when he lands that big right on Lopez, and that's why we kind of like shortened a little bit here when Teofimo decided to close the show really early for everybody. We went into commercials after the second round. So I mean, look, I think Lomachenko, if no Nakatami, let's see Richard Commey. And I would love to see that. I wonder if Bob and Arum then would want to see it. As we know, Bob is a stickler about purses and what he's going to pay for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I think this is an easy fight to be made. A lot easier than suggesting Rolly Romero or even Verdejo, because Verdejo is on a 6-month suspension. Let's remember that. He got knocked out. So automatically he's going to be on a hold off for 6 months, okay? So you're really not looking at that fight maybe till the end of the year, which is still good for Richard Commey. But if he wants to be active, I want to see him in about another 4 to 6 months, okay? But going back with Verdejo, we probably won't even see that into the beginning of next year, 2022. So Lomachenko, if he can't get a...
If you're smart, Dave, and you're a manager of Verdejo, the last thing you're going to do is put him in with a power puncher like Commey. And that was the mistake that
but Commey still poses a lot of... look, he poses a lot of threat with power, but he's still got a lot of flaws. He still drops his left.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
Tani has a lot of flaws too, but you know what they have in common? They're both
the pressure.
Durable, they're both highly supremely trained, and they can go the distance, and they carry their power. They carry their power, so I think that's a dangerous fight for Verdejo. I'm not saying...
I mean, any fight for Verdejo at this moment with anybody that has power is going to be very dangerous for him if you really think about it, Milcar. But here's the thing, though, is that, look, what does he do? Does he go backwards and start fighting guys that are not going to pose any threat for Verdejo? I mean, that was the issue in the beginning, not just from the media, but from boxing fans. Boxing fans that were actually banking on this guy being the next great thing. Well, he wasn't doing things to make it look great. He was fighting guys that had no business stepping up to him. You find a lot of club fighters, but then when he started stepping up, we started seeing who the real Verdejo. The Verdejo that fought Nakatami is the Verdejo that we've been wanting to see. Somebody that was going to have some passion. And you know what? I say, why stop that? The manager, you're right. If I was a manager, I would steer clear from anybody with some punching power, but there's got to come a time and a day which there's going to be pressure put on him again to get in there with somebody good. And I would say Richard Commey, out of all the guys right now, is probably the more limited dude. He's got a lot of pressure. He throws a lot of pressure. He's got a great right hand. But you know what? I could see Verdejo giving him a lot of problems and sparking him up here and there in between those rounds and stuff. So I think it's a great matchup for Verdejo as well.
Okay, I personally would probably try to get a fight like Lee Selby as a comeback fight. A guy who's kind of been there for a while, who's still highly ranked. Has a name, but I think it's like a winnable fight and a lot less dangerous. But that's just, again, that's me playing matchmaker, me playing promoter.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you, but if I'm Richard Commey, I'm gonna go for who I see is gonna get me closer to possibly a rematch with Teofimo Lopez or a Lomachenko. Or even to Ryan Garcia or Tank Davis, any of these guys, and I think
I love that. Sorry, go ahead. Man.
No, go ahead. What are you going to say?
I was just going to say, I love that suggestion we heard earlier in the chat. Isaac Cruz. I think that's a great opponent for Commey.
Oh, yeah. Isaac Cruz is also fighting this month as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Anyway, so we went on that there. I think we've all said who we wanted to see Richard Commey go after next. I think those are great matchups. I'd love to see Rolly one because I want to see Rolly finally tested. If he's able to beat Richard Commey, it erases the fact that he had a very controversial win over Jackson Marinez. And then Verdejo, where's he at? You know what I mean? Where is he at right now in his career? I want to find out whether or not Yeah, I don't know what the hell. Let me get away from that. I know there's nothing else on. So sorry about that, guys. If I am too loud. How about that now? No, probably not. Let me move my mic back. And that's still really low. Let me pull up your volume. Okay. So anyways, okay. So now the main thing on the news I saw that I was reading about was Manny Pacquiao talking about $40 million. It was on the Daily something, and he had made a statement saying, "Look, I want Terrence Crawford, but I want $40 million in order to get this fight with Terrence Crawford, and Terrence Crawford you could get $10 million." Let me ask you this, Amilcar. Where are they going to get this $50 million and plus, because they have to have an undercard right now in a pandemic, if there is no audience attendance at the moment?
Well, I think it's mostly about Manny saying, look, I'm a very busy guy. I have a lot of options. I've got a name that obviously is worth a lot of money. And for me to get out of bed, to paraphrase Marvin Hangler, it's difficult to get out of bed and do running when you're wearing silk pajamas. You got to throw a boatload of cash at Manny. Otherwise, why would he even take on Crawford? He doesn't need Crawford. Crawford's the one that needs an opponent. So yeah,
right.
You want my name, you want to use my record, my legacy, and try to make bread off of me. Yeah, you better pay me as much as you can pay. And if you can't pay me that much, guess what? I got a whole lot of businesses in the Philippines. I got a lot of investments, and I got other things I can do with my time.
No, I you know what? Like I said, the word deserved really doesn't belong in boxing. The word earn belongs in there. And Manny Pacquiao has earned, the right to say, hey, this is what I want and this is what I'm looking for. Think about this. If he was going to get that fight, if that deal didn't fall apart because Conor McGregor got knocked out and stopped in his sport, you imagine the amount of money they were going to ask Manny Pacquiao. I'm pretty sure it would have been 40 to 50 mil, to give Manny to get in with Conor McGregor.
Absolutely.
So how do you go from 40 and then drop down to whatever, let's say 10, 15 million that probably would be offered from Bob Arum to get him to get in with his best fighter right now, which is considered, if not one of the best welterweights in the division at this moment, right? So Manny being a businessman now and looking out for himself, saying, "Hey, listen, no, I want 40 million. Like I don't shy." And I like what he said. Look, I don't shy away from challenges, but I need to get paid for it. That's the reason why we're called prize fighters. I need to get paid for this. So I'm not too upset that he decided to throw a big number out there. You can look at it both ways. You can look at it that he's looking out for himself. He's busy being a business guy, saying, "This is what I want. If you want me to get in to face Terrence Crawford in the welterweight division." Or you can look at it, he doesn't want to face him. That's why he threw a number pretty high. Which one of those you want to pick? Go right ahead. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to go for the fact that he's looking at this. I was probably offered a very hefty amount of money to face Conor McGregor. Probably was going to be offered a hefty amount to face, Ryan Garcia. Why can't you guys step it up? You guys said you built a superstar in Terrence Crawford. You guys should be able to offer me a little bit more money, which is 40 mil. Meet me on that route, and then we can make that fight happen.
Well, yeah, and part of the problem, Dave, is that they haven't built a superstar in Terrence Crawford.
I think that was Manny's point. I think that was Manny's point by saying 40 million. Like, okay, match that and give him 10 million. That's 10 million. That's basically Manny saying, like, look, I'm the draw.
How about you give me 45, you give him 5, or you give me 40, you give him 5. Where else is Terrence Crawford making $5 million other than with Manny Pacquiao?
Exactly. I think that's even a tough sell with him and Spencer. You could call me crazy, but I don't even think that 10 million a piece. I can't remember exactly the numbers they were asking for, but I don't see that happening.
I don't see that either.
Yeah, that's a hard sell.
Either. Especially if they don't have a big venue, like a stadium, like Dallas Cowboys Stadium to fill because of COVID. That's not making 10 million for each of them in a TV fight. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would love to see Pacquiao versus Crawford. And look, I think it's pretty known. I think it's been on record. Yes, you could make a claim that Manny has kind of ducked Terrence Crawford and even Errol Spence, okay? This guy's 43 years old. This guy's been in wars. He's paid all his dues in this sport, which is a very tough sport to pay your dues on. It's a very tough sport to stay as a journeyman, you know. And he's an active, and he's still. He looks phenomenal at 43, and all the fights that he's been, this guy looks great, you know. I think it's perfectly fine for him to say, this is what I want. You want to see me get my ass handed to myself by the best guy in the division, Terrence Crawford, one of the best guys. You can argue whoever you think is the best, Terrence Crawford or Errol Spence. But either one of those guys, you want me to get my ass kicked because you guys think I'll get knocked out by these guys, then pay me $40 million. What's the problem?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it at all. At the end of the day, guys in their 20s and 30s shouldn't even be calling out guys that are 43 plus. Sorry, they just shouldn't. And if you're going to, expect that 40-something-year-old to be paid handsomely.
I agree with you. And you know what? I know some folks were thinking about the fact that maybe the Manny Pacquiao Mayweather would revive and get back onto negotiations and talks and stuff. I think honestly, if Manny's looking for that $40 million, I think he priced himself out because realistically, I think it's fair to say he doesn't really want to face Crawford, or he's actually kind of rubbing it in their face to PBC and Top Rank because he did bring in the same sentence as Errol Spence. Saying like, hey, right, either one of these guys, $40 million, give them 10. It's basically telling them, guys, if you have a star, let's start at 10.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, let's be honest, if he's trying to get a fight against someone else, right, whether it's another MMA guy or whether it's Floyd, he doesn't want to lowball himself in a Crawford negotiation, because then they'll just lowball him. They'll be, well, you took 40 or you took 20 to take on Crawford, and that's a real boxer. You know, why don't you take 15 to take on some MMA dude? You know what I mean?
You know what's the funny thing?
He's got a brand to protect.
You know what the funny thing is this? Is think about this here, okay? Manny Pacquiao faced Barrera twice. Manny Pacquiao faced Morales 3 times. Manny Pacquiao moved up Mosley, Margarito, Mayweather, De La Hoya. The list goes, Ricky Hatton. The list goes on and on and on and on. Got to a point. Faced Keith Thurman. He was not the favorite. He was the underdog against Keith Thurman. It beats him. You know, you could consider it an upset. Not a big, but a minor upset there, okay? But those are dues that are paid in this sport. You know what I mean? Where when you look at Crawford and you look at Spence, the resume doesn't even match to this 43-year-old Filipino fighter. It doesn't even come close. Okay, now some are going to say, well, Manny should fight for glory. The guy's already done that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's already done that. He did that when he took out Cotto. He did that when he took out Haddon. He did that when he took out Margarito. He did that when he took out Mosley. I could go on and on and on. You know,
absolutely.
He did that when he took out Morales and Barrera. His legacy solidified. Has been for a long
absolutely. Time. Absolutely. You know? Let's see here
you're bringing up some comments about Rakimov and Diaz. Look, we both like JoJo Diaz a lot. I know
we're going to go into him right now.
You do, Dave.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, man, it's very hard for me to root for a 135-pounder that comes in 4 pounds overweight. That is a lot of weight. And he didn't make any effort to try to take it off either. And for the commentators on DAZN to act as if he's at a disadvantage because he's 4 pounds heavier and didn't have to make weight, I just didn't understand that logic. The guy that doesn't have to cut the last 4 pounds and goes in with a weight advantage is the guy with the advantage, not the guy that had to cut weight and is being outweighed by a guy that didn't have to cut weight in the last 48 hours before the weigh-in. So I just did not understand that logic, and I felt really bad for Rakimov. And I think something really needs to be done as it relates to titles being dropped, but then also not being won in these cases. I almost feel as if you lose the title at the scales, it should automatically go to your opponent.
Well, let's put this out there. Rakhimov and Diaz ended up going to the full 12 rounds. It was 114 for both judges, and then it was 115 for 113 for one judge. Diaz lost his strap on the scale, his IBF title, and I watched the fight. First off, it was a great fight. I loved the fight. Both guys were putting up a case of who could have won. There were some close rounds in there. When I heard that Diaz was 7 pounds over, the one thing that I thought was, okay, he didn't make weight for one, is he knew that Rakhimov carries a punch. He carried a good punch in that left hand. Remember, we talked about that on Leaving the Ring. We also suggested that, you know what, he likes to walk himself back. In this fight, he did it here, Amilcar. He was actually walking forward. He was confident, that he was going to be able to absorb the punches from Rakhimov, and it's definitely was evident because he didn't come in weight. He didn't struggle. He didn't sacrifice that. In the post-interview, what he had with Beto Duran, he basically told Duran, I don't care, guys. Okay? My health comes first. I do this for me. I don't do it for nobody else. I do it for my family, etc., which is all fine and dandy. Okay? Because you know what? It is your life. It is your health. But what does that also suggest? Meaning that, you know what then, Diaz? You should never, ever, ever again get another title shot because you're not gonna honor that. Okay, that means that anybody that decides to challenge you and get to that ring when you have a title, there's always might be the chances that you're not gonna make it because you don't care about weight divisions. You want to fight.
The other thing too. What about the health of your fucking opponent? Does he not have the right to face somebody who weighed in the same as him? It's
I made the same sacrifices as him? Yep.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we get it. You don't want to make 135 pounds, so then don't fight 135 pounders. Fight guys at 140. How about that? Don't sign on to fight 135 pounders if you don't have any intention of making 135 pounds. Yeah,
no, I completely agree, And good for Beto to go out there and really put, you see his face expression when he's like, I don't care. And he was like, what the hell? Like, you don't care? Like, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. And Rakhimov has a case, in my opinion, if his management and them wanted to make some hoot and hollering about his comments after in the post-interview saying, like, this guy already had his mindset that he wasn't going to come in. He wasn't even going to try, to make weight.
Yeah,
that was pretty disrespectful to Rakhimov and Freddie Roach and the team, and it was also very disrespectful to the fight fans that tune in to watch a title fight.
Yep, absolutely. Dave, I'm gonna have to get going, unfortunately.
Absolutely, bro.
I'm real sorry about that. But what I did want to say is, in terms of Josh Warrington fight, which I'm sure you're gonna discuss next, he dropped his title. He didn't want to defend it against Galahad, right? That was a telling sign. This is a guy who fights off of the big crowd energy, right? And
I was going to save all that for Monday. I was going to save all that for Monday. Yeah, bro. Okay. I wasn't talking about that today.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry then. So,
no worries.
I'll just say, look, great job by Lara, and I'll leave it at that.
There we go. All right, man. Dave. All right, bro. Enjoy your vacation and stuff, Going back with... all right, brother. So JoJo Diaz here, the first thing that came to my head after that, him saying, you know what, F this, F that, I wasn't going to sacrifice my body, blah, blah, blah. And we all know that fighters that struggle with weight, it is very difficult, it is dangerous for them, okay? They can retain too much water. They're putting their life more at risk. Rakhimov is a big puncher, a pressure fighter. There's a lot of variables in that there. But to then just blatantly say, I wasn't going to do it, screw it. The COVID thing, and he threw every excuse out there. But this is not the first time he's missed weight. That's alarming. Think about this. How many fans are coming down the throat of David Benavidez for missing weight? And he's only done it once. Diaz shouldn't get a pass for that at all. And you've never heard David Benavidez or Team David Benavidez saying like, oh, you know what, screw it, blah, 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 blah. They actually were like, yeah, we were trying, and we just couldn't do it. Where this guy was like, look, there was this and that, a treadmill, I did that, turn on the heater, but screw it. Wasn't very apologetic in my opinion. You know, honestly, it was a kind of a bit of a turnoff and a disappointment. I like JoJo Diaz. I like him. But I just wonder if he would have came in the weight, would the Rachmanov fight been a little bit different? I'd like to see a rematch, to tell you the truth. But I'd like to see the weight, really set and them really pressure to make sure that Diaz makes that weight. You know, I don't know about you guys. I didn't really agree with the draw. I know some folks thought that Diaz won this fight. Rachmanov won that fight. You know, I guess it's up in the air. I guess you could say I'm satisfied with the draw. But honestly, at my scorecard, I had Rachmanov winning that fight. I thought he did a little bit more. I thought he put the pressure on. I thought Diaz was just selecting when he was going to throw a punch. And it could really be because the fact that he didn't make weight, that weight made a big difference. It did two things. It helped him absorb punishment and punches from Rachmanov. It also helped him, or didn't help him reserve energy. So he had to reserve the energy, and maybe that's why he had less output going against Rachmanov. So, there's two things there to look at. Again, what do we do with Diaz, JoJo Diaz? Now that he's made this statement, does he get a chance to get another title shot? Should he hold the title? With that type of mind frame, you never know. I mean, you could be training your ass off. You're on the other side of the fence, on the other side of the ring. You could be training your ass off to face this kid. And then when it comes fight night, it doesn't show up the weight that you're supposed to fight. Decides I'm not going to make that weight. Should be penalized, and to tell you the truth, guys, I think he should be penalized for not making that weight, on top of because of the statement that he made. Here's who's saying JoJo is full of excuses. I think they gave Diaz the first round, second round, 7th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. I'd have to go back. I don't think he even won that 12th, to tell you the truth and stuff, man. But I tell you what, Saturday night was fun-filled. I was working all day on Saturday. So I actually didn't watch it visually, the Warrington and Lotta fight, because I had my phone on my cart while I was working, but I listened to the whole thing. I just wanted to get home and watch it. I listened to the whole undercard of the Warrington and Lara fight, got home, kicked off my shoes, got ready, got on a recliner, laid back, had a bowl of popcorn, and watched all the fights. It was a great, fun Saturday night, man. I loved it. I was supposed to be gone yesterday, but we held it off for Sunday, which is fantastic. My wife's like, why don't we just wait till Sunday? Didn't want to argue with her about that. I was like, let's do it. It was perfect for me to get home, relax, put my feet up in the air and watch these fights, man. Let's go. Very disappointed with JoJo. Second time he misses weight, and he has the nerve to complain he doesn't get his shine, and that he doesn't get the attention he deserves. Yeah, man. I mean, look, you actually got attention this time here, Outlaw, but it's not the attention that he's actually was asking for. It's going to be negative attention because of that post interview. It was a real big turnoff. I'm pretty sure if he looks back at that interview, and if he's smart enough, he's going to kick himself in the ass and say, why did I even say those things? I should have just stayed quiet. Now, he did say that he was upset because he ended up getting a draw. He thought he won the fight. I understand that. But you know what? When you get upset at the interviewer who's asking you a real question, which is, what happened? You lost your title on the scale. What happened? And your response was to attack and be upset about it. That was a big no-no for me, And he even say, I don't care, whatever, fuck it. That was a big no-no for me. Lara should be the champ now. Absolutely. As I said on Monday, I broke down all the pros and cons of Lara, all the pros and cons of Warrington. I had said if they had, depending on the ref, what was the ref for Warrington? Was he going to let things go? Would he stop the fight immediately? Because Lara does take a lot of punishment. Okay, he catches a lot of punches on his face. But I had mentioned that how Lara is a puncher, but we didn't know how. On record, on paper, you saw he's a big puncher, but we didn't really know if it was going to translate to the elite level yet, and it did. The Warrington commentators that were there in the UK on the zone were in disbelief and shock. A lot of the stuff they were saying was like, guys, you guys are making too many excuses for this guy. Okay, it's a fight. Don't give me this, that he looked perfectly good. He was letting his hands go. But you know what? Sometimes when you handpick, and remember this, Milcar said this on Monday, Warrington handpicked this guy, Lara. Okay? Mauricio Lara, El Bronco, he handpicked him. Almost like the Apollo Creed handpicking Sylvester Stallone. And sometimes, I said this, sometimes we always hope that it backfires. And guess what? It backfired on Saturday against Warrington. He's got to go back, look at what he did, and hopefully, I hope he gets a rematch. But this time, I hope it's for a title. Now, remember this, Laura came down in weight. I have suggested that may also cause a problem. It could be a pro and a con. He could tire her out, or he could be a little too big for Warrington and be able to absorb those punches and flurries that he was going to throw. You know what? Great fight. I'm going to get in depth about it on Monday's show. We'll be back here on Monday. Guys, everybody, thanks for joining in with me, man. I really, really appreciate it. If you're a betting man, we got everything on the left side of me. Or is it the right side? I don't even know. Yeah, the right side of me. Checking all the bettings there. And then on that tomorrow show, we'll have the schedule as well as the bets that are happening on the weekend. We got Wednesday fights and Friday. I think we have Friday fights. No, it's Wednesday and... No, we do. Friday and Saturday. I'll have that whole schedule up for everybody on Monday's show. You guys enjoying your Valentine's? I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I'll see you guys Monday. You guys take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas